Greek mythology, Morpheus. You familiar? The god of dreams. I have women in my dreams, but I'm going god of dreams. Is that cool with you? Yes?
Yes.
On rotation. Analog rotary telephones taught patience and presence. One black slip of a finger or faulty dial meant starting over. No one had answering machines. No one screened calls or ignored them. No one was ruled by their phone. Using an analog rotary telephone invited wonder. This is the hallmark of my generation. Among the three of us, someone made the first call. A rotation of the planets pulled night over us like a blanket. Scraps of moonlight was just enough to feed on. We're used to scraps and being uncomfortable and second-hand lines and sharing what we have. Between the two of them, someone made the opening move. I first heard the prelude of their rising temptation before my eyes climbed to witness the interval. Their recital began with whole notes. The measure repeated, the measure repeated. Nonchalant, I turned away and closed my eyes in search of Morpheus and parables involving sand. The lovers continued staccato to siphon saliva and souls, whole notes. The measure repeated, until an unpredictable rest stole the room. She's a good kisser, my friend advertised. Do you want to kiss her? Intrigued, my eyes opened. Morpheus stopped reading, meticulous in thought and carriage. He placed his bookmark accordingly. It's funny, we've yet to advance beyond the chapter concerning my brief childhood in spite of wanton interest in learning how the fairy tale develops. We're used to scraps and sharing what we have. She's inviting me to share. Retrieving the room from theft, I own my desire to kiss the stranger. With nonchalance in my cloistered comeback, sure, I replied, and I meant it. Conducting innocence to wane, our shifting phases and position in bed manipulated the moon. Our movement altered shadows and exposed them. Scraps, just enough. The light remained framed to her friend's virtuous jawline and insatiable desire. She pulled anchor. The deliberate tug at my shirt convinced me of legato. Flanked by two serpents in an orchestra pit, rosin and bow, she asked to be used, to be played, to be taken out of tune, in order to find her own pitch. One lack slip of a finger or faulty dial meant starting over. A rotation of the planets and contour of her teeth etched a decade in my tongue. She had salt. One decade became two. Poseidon breached the membrane of his aquatic park to make known I was not meant for dry land. Branding me, he drove his trident deep through my rib cage to bless me with gills I could breathe underwater and see Atlantis for what it was. I remember we're sharing. I remember to share. I remember to play my part. Leaving her ocean to float, I swayed tide toward my friend, found clutching her own baton like Lydia Tarr. Perhaps too cavalier, I said in agreement. You're right, she is a good kisser. Then swam back to pray another decade. Among the three of us, someone made the first call. First female, first feast, first sub shared with another dom. We had scraps on rotation. We're used to scraps. We're used to being uncomfortable. She asked to be used. No one had answering machines. No one screened calls or ignored them. No one was ruled by their phone. Using an analog rotary telephone invited wonder. When that call came, I was 9 years old. They were 13 and 14, respectively. This is the hallmark of my generation. Thank you.